3 points is 3 points. This is a very difficult Group B. Egypt and South Africa sitting atop, both of them a +1 goal differential as well. Angola and Zimbabwe sitting on nothing. All right, so we are off and running here in AFCON 2025. We're joined by our CAF correspondent, Mimi Fawaz. Mimi, thank you so much for joining us here. As you look at all of this action, we knew that Egypt would have a tough time through this group. South Africa, no slouches by any means. Were they convincing enough at all for you in this opening win?
It looked a bit nervy, didn't it, in the first half with Zimbabwe getting that early goal. Yes, Egypt had possession in that game, but Zimbabwe was so resolute in their defense. And Egypt had that tempo, lots of really quick tempo in the first half. They were trying to get those goals. They had a few opportunities, but it was that Omar Marmoush goal that, you know, got them going to level before Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah is a player that never stops. He keeps trying. He's a leader for Egypt, and we saw him getting the winning goal for his country. Now, Egypt are a country that even when they're behind, you should never rule them out. It was the exact same in the last Africa Cup of Nations in the Ivory Coast. Sometimes they will come up with the goods in the last few minutes of the game. And it looked like, oh my goodness, they weren't going to be able to level, let alone win against Zimbabwe's resolute defense. But they found a way to break through that Zimbabwe defense.
Mimi, 35 shots, 11 on target. You saw a great performance from Omar Marmoush, who to me is the leader of this group. But Mohamed Salah just reminding everyone how important he can be for the national team. So I'm going to question you now. Who's going to be the most important player for Egypt going forward? Will it be Mohamed Salah with these late goals to win games? Or will it be Marmoush who gets his nation back into it?
Look, I think they both play an important part in Egypt's, run in this Africa Cup of Nations. Marmoush definitely was very instrumental, one of the leaders in this game in Egypt, until, of course, Mohamed Salah scored the winner. Mohamed Salah is so important to this Egyptian team. I cannot state that enough. He's such a leader for the team. Even coming into the Africa Cup of Nations, he was the one leading Egypt in qualifying for the World Cup next summer, scoring the 2 winning goals against Djibouti that helped them to seal their place. So he is definitely a player that his team looked to. You could even see him giving instructions to the players during the match. So yes, maybe you might not expect him, you didn't expect him to not be as dominant in the first half, but he never gives up. He fights for his country till the very end, as he did today.
Maybe I want to stay on Mo for just a second. Individually, how important is this tournament for him? With what he's gone through at Liverpool, everybody kind of wondering, have we seen the best of Mo Salah? How much does he need to prove to the world once again that he is this transcendental player?
Do you know what? For me, Mohamed Salah has broken so many records. I don't feel like he needs to prove anything to anyone. He's been so consistent season after season for Liverpool. He's definitely a legend, one of the best African players in the Premier League. He's definitely a legend in African football. But I think there's so much pressure on his shoulders because Egypt are looking for that 8th trophy. Do you know what I mean? It's been quite a while for them. So they keep looking to their star player, Mohamed Salah. And there's always this debate in African football. If you don't win the Africa Cup of Nations, are you one of the greats? Are you a legend of the game? But for me, what Mohamed Salah has done both in African football, qualifying his country to the World Cup in Russia in 2018, and as well now again next summer, and as well what he's done in the Premier League, breaking records in his club, even in the Champions League. He's always going to be a legend in my books, in the history books.
I like that you say that, but maybe he has something to prove to a certain Arne Slot. I'm just going to throw that out there with a winning goal. I'm sure it helps his chances of getting back into that starting 11. Let's go to Bafana, South Africa getting a very important victory. And it's a very difficult game as well. Lyle Foster getting the winning goal. But at the same time, I don't know if you care much about XG. I absolutely hate the XG statistics. But this was 0.39 XG from South Africa's side that actually scored a couple of goals in their game. How did they get it done? How important was it to get the 3 points? And how dangerous can South Africa be in this competition?
I know we always look at stats, don't we? Stats play such a big part in the game now that sometimes you just forget how just people are just playing on the pitch, the players. But look, it was a very much an end-to-end game between Angola and South Africa. Two very good sides. Both teams had really good performances at the last Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. So it looked really tight for both sides. But then Lyle Foster, of course, in the 78th, 79th minute became the hero for South Africa, scoring that winning goal, the Burnley man. Now, Hugo Bruce, I feel, has got a very well-oiled machine in South Africa. They're definitely one of the dark horses for us to watch out for in the competition. Don't forget that they picked up bronze in the last competition. They're very well organized. A lot of them play locally in South Africa. They've got that pace. They can hit you on the counter-attack. So Hugo Bruce has done a really good job with South Africa since taking over. So I would say, for me, they're definitely one of the dark horses to watch out for in this competition.
Let's go to the match that we saw from Group A, the second one, with Morocco winning yesterday. How much does that affect Mali, do you think, not getting all 3 points? Because we know that Morocco is going to be very difficult, especially at home. Do you feel like they wasted a little bit of an opportunity here this afternoon?
Yes, of course. Yoko got, of course, the goal for Mali. He could have gone a second one for them. They really dominated the tempo in that game against Zambia. They created the best opportunity. So I'm sure out of the two sides, they'll be ruining themselves that they were not able to get the job done in terms of getting, a win in that match. As you said, Morocco playing at home. I'm sure you watched the game against Comoros, in the opening game. The stadium was packed, full of Moroccan fans. It was a sea of red. So never underestimate what part the fans can play in such games. So I don't think it's going to be an easy game for Mali. They're a quality side as well, for sure. The Malian team, Tom Sanfia as well, he's trying to work on that team. He's going to need to see if they can be more clinical going into the game where they will be facing Morocco, where we saw in the second half, they were very clinical in getting those goals.
AFCON always brings a great deal of colour. It brings a great deal of excitement, energy, the loudness, but also celebration. I don't know if you saw Pat Zendaka with his celebration after that one. It looked to me like he was in serious trouble after he landed on his neck. I mean, that must be something that's pretty scary for him, for his national team, and something I would say that now coaches are probably telling the rest of their players, be careful with your celebration now, please.
Well, you know African football. It's all about the flair. It's all about the celebrations as well of the players. So I think coaches are going to find it really hard to tell players, ooh, don't do a somersault. Ooh, don't celebrate it some way. Don't pull a muscle. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the emotions take the better of you in such moments. You're representing your country. You're getting goals to help your country to get, out of the group stages. I don't think any coach will be able to stop players in that adrenaline. We've seen historically players like Roger Miller, dancing in the corner. That's the African, that embodies the African spirit. So I don't think that's ever going to stop.
It has been a great start here to AFCON. Thanks so much for the time, Mimi. Always appreciate it.
Great stuff, Mimi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we are going to see a lot of those AFCON teams next year at the World Cup as well. So that's so exciting. Four of them potentially here with Congo in the playoff. But Nigeria takes the pitch for the first time coming up on Tuesday. Senegal's in action, and Tunisia will face Uganda in Group C at 3 p.m. Eastern Time.